See you tomorrow, we hope.
It's Wednesday, November 26th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A former Halifax bouncer is found guilty in the death of a bar patron. Ottawa announces new support for softwood lumber companies hurting from tariffs.
Scattered showers Thursday with temperatures set to fall Friday into the weekend.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. A former Halifax bouncer has been found guilty for the killing of a bar patron on Christmas Eve 3 years ago. The victim's parents say this court case is just one part of their struggle to make sure it never happens to anyone else. Now, some of the footage might disturb sensitive viewers. CTV's Callum Smith reports.
An emotional embrace for Ryan Sawyer's family after a judge convicted the man charged of manslaughter and criminal negligence causing death.
I would say nobody wins today. We've lost a son.
The judge scolded Alexander Levy for his role in the early morning hours of Christmas Eve 2022, saying the former bouncer's chokehold on Ryan Sawyer was overzealous and disproportionate, and that he ramped things up using extreme violence rather than de-escalating. He agreed with the Crown's position that Levy had applied the chokehold, squeezing and pulling back on Sawyer's neck for approximately 2 minutes, not the 10 to 15 seconds Levy testified to, ultimately rejecting his self-defense argument.
Justice Chipman canvassed every shred of evidence in this case to come to a conclusion that Mr. Levy was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So we think the decision was thorough and well-reasoned.
Justice Chipman took exception to much of Levy's testimony, finding his evidence not believable in virtually every critical area, saying his direct testimony came across as over-rehearsed, calling parts of it incredibly contrived and self-serving, adding that he intervened after Sawyer was held by another bouncer and was no longer a threat.
He's in a reasonable state of shock, and he's just processing a very difficult moment in his life.
Ryan was trying to save his brother. At one point at the door, you could see him reaching and trying to pull Kyle out of it. When Kyle was on the ground, I can't breathe, Ryan was trying to get to him. And he died trying to save his brother.
Sentencing is April 24th. Neither side knows what they'll recommend yet, and the defense says it's too early to say if they'll appeal. But Sawyer's family knows they'll keep fighting for government accountability for bar security staff.
This could have been prevented. We are going to push forward, and we're not going to stop until the Premier of Nova Scotia recognizes that this needs to be done, and it needs to be done with proper regulation. They need to be regulated.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Halifax police are investigating a midday homicide in the city's North End. Police were called just after 11 to Gottingen Street between North and Kennard Streets, where a man was found injured. He was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police did not provide any details about the victim, but say they're treating the death as a homicide. Police have not said whether any arrests have been made in this case. And 2 people have now been charged in connection to a fatal shooting in St. John more than 2 weeks ago. The shooting happened around 11 o'clock on the night of November 11th on St. James Street. An unconscious 42-year-old man was found seriously injured at the scene. He was rushed to hospital where he later died. On Tuesday, police charged a 33-year-old man with second-degree murder and a 27-year-old woman with accessory after the fact. This investigation is ongoing as well. Online, the body of a missing American woman has been found in New Brunswick, and we have the details at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. As of this afternoon, there is more money coming to help Maritime softwood lumber companies and workers struggling with the impact of those U.S. tariffs. The Prime Minister announced a relief package about an hour or so ago. This is something that a lot of people in New Brunswick have been watching for. CTV's Bruce Frisco joins us in the news center. He has more on the announcement. What's in it, Bruce?
Well, I'll tell you, Todd, a number of new measures announced today focused on softwood lumber and steel. The latter is important, of course, but in our part of the world, we're a lot more interested, a lot more focused on forestry and lumber. And the PM says he's ramping up efforts to make Canada our best customer for those products. Carney estimates the U.S. tariffs have cost Canada $50 billion so far, about $1,300 for every Canadian. His 5-year budget goal is to unleash $1 trillion Canadian dollars over those years to allow Canadian businesses a chance to diversify. That, by the way, works out to about $3,500 per Canadian. Among the other measures, the feds say they'll start subsidizing railway fees by 50% to transport Canadian steel and lumber across the country. And there is real cash available for the businesses as well.
We will also provide an additional $500 million to the Business Development Bank of Canada's Softwood Lumber Guarantee Program to ensure that companies have the financing and the credit support that they need to maintain and restructure their operations during this period of transformation. And similarly, we will deploy $500 million in funding under the Large Enterprise Tariff Loan Facility, specifically for softwood lumber firms, the larger ones facing liquidity pressures.
The government also amalgamating all the programs together, a single window, as Carney called it, to make it easier for the companies to access all funds available to them. And he's launching a Canadian forest sector transformation task force to gather suggestions from provinces, territories, and industries on how to seize new opportunities and grow the sector. And as always, the PM faced a flurry of questions about any communication he's had with Donald Trump, and he admitted there has been nothing noteworthy. But trade talks between the two countries are still at a standstill. Carney did say he expects to see the U.S. president next week at the World Cup soccer draw, but suggested nobody should expect any great breakthroughs at that time. He added, though, Canada is ready to come back to the bargaining table.
Something that he has said repeatedly. Thank you, Bruce, in the News Center, and we will have the late night at 11:30 with Bruce in this chair. Now, New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt spoke about the impacts of tariffs on the sector at a Chamber of Commerce event. She spoke at the Moncton Coliseum about attracting investment to New Brunswick. The Premier admitted the impacts of those American tariffs has been significant, saying layoffs in the softwood lumber industry is having a direct impact on the province's economy.
It's not a pretty hand that we've been dealt, and when our exports, which number to about 17 billion, 92% of those go to the U.S., this is really a time to retool and to look in other directions.
Holt says the province will launch an economic development strategy in the coming months. Now, earlier in the day, the Premier was at one of Canada's largest cannabis producers, where business is growing and new money will boost expansion. But it comes as cannabis was left out of a national agreement to drop tariffs between provinces. CTV's Derek Haggett explains.
Cannabis is now New Brunswick's most valuable crop, surpassing potatoes and dairy, according to Organogram, which wants to grow even more. The province is now helping with that. Today, Premier Susan Holt announced the province will spend $2 million on upgrades. However, cannabis is exempt from the recent interprovincial trade reduction agreement, but Holt says it can still be included.
So I think the opportunity is still there to make sure that every province is on board and that it's something that that Canadians want. They want to see barriers broken down. They want to see us have it be easy to do business between provinces.
Organogram's biggest markets are in Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia.
We have a high market share here in New Brunswick, but having that ability to sell cross borders without that additional tax would allow us to be more profitable.
The provincial money will go toward Organogram's $9.3 million lighting project for LED fixtures in 75 grow rooms.
We're looking to make our companies and our enterprises more productive, and we're looking to diversify into new markets.
The new lights will boost crop yields by 10% while improving efficiency. That means a higher monthly NB power bill, but Organogram says it's worth it.
It's about $60,000 a month increase, but we pay about $1 million a month. So, you know, it's a percentage, but the yield outweighs that increase in energy.
The Moncton facility employs more than 800 people, and as the yields increase, Organogram says so too could the number of jobs. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
There's a live look at Antigonish right now, where it is currently 8 degrees at 9 minutes after 6 o'clock. Let's get our first look at the forecast, and we go to CTV meteorologist Kalen Mitchell in the Weather Center. Kalen.
Yeah, we're heading to a soggy and foggy evening night around the Maritime region. That first round of rain that was steady for parts of Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick. Some general rainfall totals reported between 5 and 15 millimeters. That is clearing off towards the east, but there's more to come with this weather system. As we zoom out, it's a sprawling area of low pressure and does include some further rounds of rain coming into the northeastern United States, and those are heading in our direction, so a little bit more wet weather coming in as we move through the night. Now, there are no weather warnings in effect with this system, but we are going to spend a little bit of time here, Todd, talking about some weather warnings, because there was a change or an update to the weather warning system made by Environment Canada today, and they're basically going to a color-coded system, which is going to include 3 tiers of colors: yellow, orange, and red, and escalating risks when it comes to the weather as you move up those colors. So let's take a look at that. This was by Environment Canada today. So the most common warning that we're going to see issued in the country is going to be yellow warnings, right? And that'll be when we want to take some moderate precautions. It could be something like, say, a 15-centimeter snowfall. Now, orange warnings is when we get into more severe weather conditions where the impacts are going to be a little bit longer or a little bit more widespread. Think about a snowfall that could range between, say, 30 and 60 centimeters. Now, red, these are going to be the rarest. These will be the more extreme snow events or other weather events that we experience. Think something like the eastern Nova Scotia snowstorm, not this past winter, but the winter before, where basically areas were shut down for a better part of the week because of the tremendous amount of snow that came down. So it's a way for Environment Canada to basically escalate the risk within something like a snowfall warning or a thunderstorm warning or wind warning. Let's talk a little bit about winds. So something we experience here in the Maritimes. A yellow warning for wind might mean moderate travel delays, short-term utility outages, some broken tree branches, and maybe some postponement of outdoor events. Now, an orange wind warning takes it up a notch. Major travel delays, maybe widespread utility outages, roof damage possible, tree fall, maybe outdoor events postponed, or essential services disrupted. This would be something like similar to the strong winds that come in with like a major winter nor'easter. Okay. And then at the very top end of the scale, for wind, think something like Hurricane Fiona. Major prolonged travel delays, widespread prolonged utility outages, structural damage, significant tree fall, critical infrastructure could be compromised, and there could be a prolonged disruption of essential services in the region as well.
We've seen this type of thing used elsewhere.
Yes, so this is following suit to an escalating warning system used in many parts of Europe and most notably in the UK. Right. And it follows recommendations being put out by the World Meteorological Organization.
And it starts today.
It does.
All right, thank you, Kellen, and we will see you a little later for the full forecast. 1 year ago tonight, Nova Scotians elected Tim Houston and the Progressive Conservatives with a supermajority. Tonight, the party is celebrating, and there's some expectation the Premier could lay out his future plans. The event is happening at Pier 21 on the Halifax waterfront, and that's where CTV's Jesse Thomas is now. Jesse, this is a big night for them.
That's right. The PCs and Premier Tim Houston are celebrating tonight. It was exactly a year ago that Nova Scotia re-elected them with a supermajority, where they took 43 of 55 seats. No stronger mandate was seen except for the John Buchanan PC government back in 1984, when they were re-elected to a supermajority as well. Now, ahead of the 2024 election, you'll remember that Houston had campaigned largely on taking on Ottawa and then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and scrapping the carbon tax. Well, Trudeau is gone, and Prime Minister Mark Carney has cut the consumer carbon tax, so it raises the question now, what's Houston's path forward? We may get that answer tonight during a special anniversary speech that's close to getting underway here. People are filing in. It's expected that Houston will address his political future as well. You might recall there was some speculation that Houston might be interested in pursuing federal politics. Houston had addressed the media several times in French and said he was taking French lessons, but it's expected we'll hear more about Houston's future tonight, and we're hearing he's laser focused on Nova Scotia, and representatives from the Premier's office tell me we will hear the Premier announce in his speech tonight that he will seek a third term. we'll have more updates on that later on. For now, I'll send it back to you, Todd.
All right, Jesse Thomas at Pier 21 in Halifax, just a year into the mandate and talking about another term. All right, that's Jesse, and he will have more details of tonight's event on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Still some confusion tonight over whether infilling can go ahead in Dartmouth Cove. The province has approved changes submitted by the Halifax Regional Municipality to restrict infilling at the waterfront site. However, the province says Halifax has to prove it has the authority to regulate infilling and show that none of the municipality's measures infringe on federal jurisdiction. The potential development of Dartmouth Cove has been subject to intense debate over the past few years.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A recent inmate at large from a St. John Correctional Center is raising questions about the security at the facility. CTV's Avery McRae has more.
At the time, 25-year-old Mackenzie Moyer was charged with first-degree murder in connection to a homicide in St. John's North End. He was unlawfully at large from the Partown Community Correctional Center. The Uptown facility houses federal inmates nearing the end of their sentence.
Parolees are going to be released into the community regardless of what we do.
St. John Police Staff Sergeant Shauna Fowler says an average of 15 to 20 people at Partown go unlawfully at large each year, but it doesn't have an impact on police operations. In most cases, it's a simple missed curfew or rule breach and they are returned without incident. But to date in 2025, 6 at-large individuals have committed another offense.
Whether someone abides by their parole conditions or not is really on an individual basis. There's really nothing to say who's going to do what, where, and when.
We only hear about the times when it goes sideways or someone's been hurt as a result of that person being on parole. And so we can get a skewed perception about whether that's working or whether it's safe.
UNBSJ Center for Policing and Criminal Justice Research Director Marianne Campbell points out that models like Partown have proven to be overall successful, with 91% of federal inmates completing their parole without issue.
Using a step-down model, research has shown that there's value in helping a person transition from a facility back into the community while still getting a lot of support and supervision doing so.
St. John Mayor Donna Reardon says she hasn't heard many resident concerns about Partown, but says the frequency of those at large from the facility is a concern.
I don't know what the protocols and procedures are, and I don't know if police are involved in the protocols and procedures. And so I guess my last question would be, like, is there a safer way to provide that service?
When asked if the Uptown is the best location for a facility like this, Mayor Donna Reardon says it isn't an issue given the proper measures to ensure community safety are in place. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
We'll take our first time out tonight. Still to come, Kaylin has more wet weather details in the full forecast, but next, on patrol.
We've been taking steps, like proactive steps, to get ready for this transition.
Fredericton Police is expanding its reach into nearby neighborhoods. We'll tell you why after the break.
Lawyers, Canada's largest injury law firm.
Fredericton police officers are going where they haven't gone before, namely to a number of communities around the capital city. CTV's Laura Brown tells us why.
Today, this neighborhood is covered by the New Brunswick RCMP. Next Tuesday, it will be under Fredericton Police jurisdiction.
So we've been aware of this for a while. So we've been taking steps, like proactive steps, to get ready for this transition.
The change stems from local governance reform when new boundaries were drawn more than 2 years ago. For the city, it added several neighborhoods, including Killarney, Douglas, Pepper Creek, McLeod Hill, and the Capital Region landfill. Now, Fredericton Police are officially taking on those neighborhoods under their jurisdiction.
They should expect to see an increased presence. We have some overtime and some extra officers on staff to deal with kind of that initial week, that handover process.
any open investigations in those areas will carry on with the RCMP. But anything new will be the responsibility of the Fredericton Police. Public Safety Chair Eric McGarity, who also represents one of the areas annexed, believes this is beneficial for those residents.
It's a very positive thing. You know, it had to be done. They're part of the city. We have a police force, so that takes the burden off the RCMP. They have other areas they could patrol, and it gives us the ability to put that service in place for the residents, new residents.
Councillor McGarity says at least a dozen new police officers have been hired, and he's hoping to get some feedback from residents after a few months to see how the change is going.
Expect to see the City of Fredericton Police logo on their streets.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Laura. Warm temperatures, but they come with wet weather. Meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell has the full maritime weather forecast after this.
And expertise verified for your Ford. Keep your Ford a Ford.
That is a shot of Fredericton. I believe that is just in front of City Hall. But clearly pointed at the street. Not a lot of traffic there, Kaylin, though it does look pleasant, 5 degrees.
Wet roads, 5 degrees. Fredericton should be holding around 5 degrees for most of tonight. There is a little bit more wet weather to still make its way through.
I was going to say no yellow, orange, or red tonight.
No weather warnings for us to tackle as far as the new system goes for tonight. And most of the reported rainfall amounts that I've had so far have been about 5 to 15 millimeters. And we still need rain. Let's take a look at weather conditions across the country. We're sitting at 8 degrees right now around Vancouver and Victoria. It's a little bit colder as you get into the prairies, especially as you get into Saskatchewan. Saskatoon -8 right now, and Regina sitting at -7. It's -3 at Winnipeg. There's a fairly heavy amount of snow coming down still through parts of northern Ontario, and there's some winter storm warnings in effect. Some areas, including up towards Kapuskasing, could pick up as much snow as between 30 and 60 centimeters. That system is then expected to go on and bring some heavy snow, maybe 15 to 25 centimeters through parts of western Quebec. 2 degrees right now at Quebec City. Fredericton sitting at 5, as we just saw, 11 at Halifax, 8 at Charlottetown, and 3 at St. John's. Now, the band of rain that we've been dealing with for most of today, that's in the process right now of clearing off towards the east. In behind it, cloudy skies, patchy drizzle and fog, and then during the overnight, another round of rain moves into the Maritimes. Now, this next round of rain looks like it'll be most widespread across northern areas of New Brunswick. For other parts of the region, maybe just some continued drizzle and fog into the start of the day for tomorrow with a chance of some showers. And temperatures are a little bit cooler in the north of New Brunswick, so very early tomorrow morning, that rain may mix in with a little bit of snow, though overall snowfall accumulation should be quite limited. And then as we move into the afternoon, that round of snow and rain clears out. In behind it, the Maritimes clears to a mix of sun and cloud with a lower chance of a couple spotty showers through the afternoon hours. Not much more than around a 30% chance for any given community. Partly cloudy skies expected for Thursday evening and Thursday night, and temperatures get cooler on Friday. Additional rainfall amounts to come out of this weather system in most cases will be trace up to around another few millimeters. There are some spots in Cape Breton that could maybe pick up another 2 to 10 millimeters of rain. And again, this somewhat higher amount of rainfall for northern areas of New Brunswick, maybe an additional 5 to 15 millimeters. That'd be for that next round that comes in overnight and lingers into the start of the day for tomorrow. Winds in the forecast for Thursday. They're going to be westerly, and they're going to increase into the afternoon to become a little bit blustery. Gusts 20 to 40 kilometers per hour for New Brunswick, with some of the peak wind gusts for both Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for northern areas of New Brunswick between 1 and 4 degrees. For central and southern parts of that province, 4 to 8. Most of the low temperatures for Prince Edward Island tonight between 6 and 8 degrees, and for Nova Scotia, most of the lows between 7 and 10. High temperatures for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between 3 and 7 degrees, and down through central and southern parts of the province, high temperatures between 7 and 12. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures between 10 and 12 degrees, so still a little bit milder. In eastern areas of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, high temperatures near 12 degrees and between 11 and 13 for the North Shore and the Eastern Shore. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures tomorrow, mostly 11, 12 degrees, including 12 at around True Truro and Halifax, Upper Tantallon and Chester. The Annapolis Valley tomorrow with high temperatures near 12, 11 at Digby, and for communities on the South Shore and in the southwest of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures between 10 and 12 degrees. Now, those somewhat milder temperatures, they don't last too long. We do turn cool again for New Brunswick on Friday, and then cold to chilly for the upcoming weekend. Possible mixture of some snow and rain coming in Sunday night into Monday, followed by a chance of flurries on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Temperatures turning colder towards the middle part of next week. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, a chance of showers on Friday. Temperatures turning chilly into the weekend, which features a mix of sun and cloud. May see some rain move in Sunday night, finishing as a chance of showers on Monday. Snow possible on Tuesday of next week, depending on how close a coastal low pressure system gets to the Maritimes. For Prince Edward Island in the forecast, it's showers over the next couple of days. Temperatures getting a little bit colder for the weekend ahead. A little bit of a snow-rain mix possible Sunday night, followed by a chance of showers on Monday. And keeping an eye on the forecast for Tuesday of next week, as snow would be possible for PEI as well, Todd.
All right, thanks. We'll check in at the end of the show. Coming up next, could AI diagnose your next skin condition? And Katie Kelly is hurrying hard at the curling patch. Katie.
Todd, the patch is the place to be this week here inside the Halifax Convention Centre as the Canadian curling trials roll on. There's lots of stuff going on here, fun and games, food and drink, and live entertainment, of course. I'll have more on that coming up in just a little.
Best 5G Plus network for amazing offers this Black Friday.
Welcome back on this Wednesday evening. Well, we know advances in artificial intelligence are having a huge impact on numerous industries, healthcare certainly among them. We had the start of a conversation about this some time ago with Dr. Richard Langley, a dermatologist and teaches dermatology at the medical school at Dalhousie University. Glad you were able to come back and join us. Thank you.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Because I know your schedule is extremely busy. You just got back from Europe and Asia. This was all the talk.
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah, it's a big part of what we're doing in research. Even in education, we're finding that there's huge opportunities to be able to assist in what we do. And I think that, for me, is the overarching part of AI, is that they're tools that assist us. They don't replace us, as many people always wonder about. They're really just helping us do our jobs better and more efficiently.
Well, let's talk a bit about that. I mean, I think perhaps the most obvious one is in terms of administration.
Sure.
We hear a lot about how physicians lament that they have to spend too much time with forms, letters and the rest of it. AI is something that is, giving you a little more time with patients?
Yeah, well, I think we've talked in the past about the fact that there is, this administrative burden that all physicians have and their office staff have, dealing with forms. Moving even to new forms of technology takes time. You have to learn it, moving towards electronic medical records. And what we're finding is that AI, in its most basic sense, we're able to use it to help us. For example, fill out forms. AI can actually pre-fill out some of the information by drawing it from the medical record. The biggest use that I've found, and this is the first time that I found technology has actually saved me time, because many times I actually do things and I'm told, oh, it's going to make things quicker. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's improvements definitely in what I do, like in electronic medical records, but I don't know that it saves time. But the AI scribe, which is something that the our medical group is supporting now with family physicians, and many specialists are using it. We've had it before in the sense of being able to use voice dictation, but the newer systems now are really quite incredible. They do what's called ambient recording, so you have a microphone collecting a conversation like we would be having. It takes the entire conversation. It's all encrypted and the privacy rules are respected and such. And it's under the consent of the person that are doing it. But with those caveats, if you're using it, it records and generates a clinical note. And I would say it's the newest version I've been using for the last few weeks. It's saving me probably about an hour a day.
Okay, let's talk about what AI might be able to do in terms of, we were talking before the interview about pattern detection.
Yes.
What is that? How will that have an impact?
Sure. So I've been working, when I was back at Mass General, believe it or not, we started using pattern recognition in melanoma. It was very primitive and didn't work very well. But the concept of it is, I think that many people will be familiar with it, is when you unlock your phone, for example, many people use face recognition. And this is the same concept where artificial intelligence, there's different types, language models, the so-called deep learning with pattern recognition. And that essentially in dermatology, what we're using it for is training models to recognize a cancer and differentiate it from a benign lesion, so a melanoma from a benign mole. Now, the models are getting better and better and better, and I think at this point, for an expert, dermatologist who sees a lot of patients with skin cancer, there's not maybe as much benefit yet, but for many, as healthcare is being delivered across the community and people may not have had much experience, there may be benefits, and we're working on a program right now trying to use it to triage lesions in the community to identify those lesions that we need to see sooner. So, and again, it's not replacing, it's not going to be a diagnostic tool that we rely on as opposed to seeing a doctor, but maybe it might help sort through the lesions in the community, and we could get a chance to access, see the patients quicker.
Do you think all this is leading towards what we hear of personalized medicine? To that point where could AI help with tailoring drugs, for example?
Absolutely.
Skin issues.
Yeah, like for example, if personalized medicine, we're trying to provide, the best medication, but also the safest medication. And there are some people who may have a reaction to a certain drug, and we hear certainly tragedies many times where people have an allergy to a certain drug that wasn't known about. The ability to determine that, and also to determine drug interactions. So if you have a patient on multiple medications, the ability to cross-reference and see that a new prescription being given might interact with another one, or it might have a different effect in a certain kind of patient. And to that point, maybe a patient of a certain age group with a certain genetic makeup. So there's no question that personalized medicine, and that is happening already, and that's going to result in efficiencies of care, so better care and safer care. And I've utilized this even in my patients with cancer by determining in some patients who need certain therapies, which therapies are like to work best. So it's already out there.
It's always, people are always wondering, when will I see this when I go into your office or my dermatologist in another city in the Maritimes? You're saying in some respects it's already there.
It's already there. And of course, some of it's underneath the hood. You don't really see it happening, but it's already there in terms of the way our systems are working. But in some of these areas, patients may be asked, would you mind if we use this AI scribe? And I think they can be reassured that these systems are being heavily tested, following all the privacy rules, and really are going to result in more efficient care. But some of the most exciting areas, I think, are just starting to develop, and that's kind of some of the areas I was working on last week with some of my colleagues globally. And what many people don't realize is that there have been so tremendous advances in development of new medications. And the Nobel Prize in 2024 was actually awarded to one of these groups, actually from Google. And in order to target, for example, we use proteins, drugs which bind to proteins. In order to choose a drug, you can think almost like a lock and a key. Yeah. And the ability to understand the shape of the lock to get the key into is complex. And over 50 years, they identified like about 200,000 of these proteins. In the last 2 years, they've identified 200 million. So it's like basically having a map of a city versus of the entire globe. And that's what's happening now. And because of that, newer, more efficient, and safer medications are being developed as we speak.
Well, it's exciting. We're going to have to get you back in, talk about it more at length. Dr. Langley, thank you very much. Richard Langley, dermatologist in Halifax, also with Dalhousie University School of Medicine. We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more of your show after this.
A $1,000 Black Friday bonus. See your dealer for details.
To health and medical headlines now. Java fans rejoice. We look at how a cup of joe could benefit your heart. CTV's Amanda Debison has that and more in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
A cup of coffee a day may possibly lower your risk for abnormal heart rhythm. If you start your day with coffee, you might be doing your heart a favor. Researchers are suggesting that it might also protect against atrial fibrillation, a common type of abnormal heartbeat. A small study from the journal JAMA found that indulging in a daily morning brew helped lower the risk of recurrent AFib by nearly 40%. In addition to making you alert and physically active, caffeine can help block certain brain receptors, and that can help steady your heartbeat. It may also help lower blood pressure. But hold the espresso shots and energy drinks for now. This study only looked at moderate coffee use, not a caffeine overload, and not products with other ingredients. Hitting the gym is good for the body and the brain. A new study shows people with higher muscle mass tend to have younger brains. As you age, you gain visceral body fat, a type of fat surrounding the heart, kidneys, and other organs. According to new research, participants with a higher visceral fat to muscle ratio had a brain age appearing slightly older than they should. Experts say an aging brain is a top risk factor for developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. Finally, life coaching may do more than lift your mood. It could help keep your brain in shape. Older adults who are at risk for memory decline do better when they have coaching support while following a healthy lifestyle plan compared to trying to do it on their own. That's according to a new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Researchers saw a small but meaningful boost in executive functioning in seniors who were coached. These are the skills that help you plan, focus, and stay organized. Think remembering appointments, paying bills, and keeping up with your grocery list. Everyone in the study followed the same routine that included movement, diet, brain activity, and heart health. But the group, with a coach, showed greater improvements. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
Canada's top curlers are in Halifax all weekend, along with the action on the ice. There's a lot of fun happening at the Patch, the official fan hub, and that's where we find our Katie Kelly tonight with a guest. Hi there, Katie.
Hi there, Todd. And yes, this guest is one of my favorite people. We have Mr. Joe H. Henry in the building. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. You?
I'm so great, Joe. It's always great to see you.
I'm always so happy to see you, Katie.
So listen, Joe performed here in the Patch earlier today, and tell me about your experience. You had some fun here, eh?
Oh, tons of fun. I had some new fans and some old fans come out that I wasn't expecting to see. It was a phenomenal time here in the Patch.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a really cool atmosphere, so we definitely recommend people coming and checking out the Patch. It's free. There's so much fun, so much to see and do, and it's just at the bottom of the Halifax Convention Center. So show up here and you can have a time and check out some great local entertainment like Mr. Joe H. Henry, who, okay, so Joe, you have lived all over the place. We don't even, classify you being from one place, but about 5 years ago, you made the Maritimes your home.
Yes.
And you absolutely love it here and have been having a ball. And it was only 2.5 years ago that you released your first song.
Yes.
And now you have been touring internationally.
Yeah.
You had a crazy year, so talk to me about what you've been up to.
Oh, it seems like I'm in a fever dream most of the time. It's something that's hard to believe, but it has been so wild, and I've been so fortunate. It's really, it's something. It's something else. I still talking with you now. I can't believe it.
Well, you just got home Halloween Day after a big tour. Tell the people where you were and what you were doing.
Yeah, I was luckily with the Festival of Small Halls in Australia, and I started it all off with 2 shows at the Matsamura Blues Festival put on at the Q Courthouse. I did 2 shows with Chris Mitzi there, and then I got into a car with the lovely Georgia Mooney and our wonderful tour manager, and we spent a month doing 15 dates and trying to drive each other crazy, but it just didn't happen.
Cool, so cool. And I know you're heading back to Australia, plus you have a bunch of UK dates coming up. It's crazy what you've been doing. It's so fun. We don't have a lot of time, so we really want to talk about that EP. So you've released some new music. It's going to be available online come next year, and when they see it shows they can pick up a physical copy. But just quickly tell me about this EP, Joe.
It is something that has come out of the wild minds of living in Nova Scotia and having wonderful people like Lil Thomas ready to just be a beautiful engineer on, Jeff Arsenault for some drums, Ron Hines on the upright bass, my wonderful friend Patrick Murphy on the drums as well on some of those. And it's a big sonic journey of what is all come to be, and that's why we decided to call it Real Things, because that's what got us to this absolute point right here, right now.
Amazing. Joe, thank you so much. You can find Real Things and Joe H. Henry. Look him up. He is amazing. We're here at the Patch. You can check it out yourself, Todd.
All right. Thanks, you too. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Best 5G Plus network for amazing offers this Black Friday.
Another strong day for the markets. The Dow Jones ended up 314 points. Apple is about to become the world's largest smartphone maker. It hasn't held that title for more than a decade. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has details.
Apple's new iPhone 17 is propelling the company to regain that title and beat Samsung for the first time since 2011. The 17 is being snapped up by consumers in the U.S. and China, two key markets. Apple will ship around 243 million iPhones this year. Samsung, about 235 million. This is coming from Counterpoint Research. It means Apple will end up with just over 19% of the smartphone market. Samsung, just over 18.5%. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.23. West Texas Intermediate crude is up to 58.65. Western Canadian Select is down to 45.34. And the TSX gained another 279 points today for another record close, moving over 31,000 for the first time. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
All right, Kalen's on the weather deck. One more look at tomorrow.
Yeah, not as chilly out here this evening as it was last evening, but there's some dampness in the air and, of course, a little bit more than wave, some rain, drizzle, and fog expected for the Maritimes tonight. Our view picture for tonight, though, comes in from this morning before the wet weather moved in, and it was a pretty scene at Sampsonville in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. This one was sent in by Melissa Carter. I want to thank Melissa very much for taking the time today to share that picture with me. Sampsonville for tomorrow, likely to be a few showers that move through the area. The highest chance of showers in the morning and then a lower chance afternoon into evening. Still mild, high temperature near 10 degrees. And day planner for tomorrow at the start of the day, there will be patchy fog and drizzle around many parts of the Maritimes and a mixture of some light rain and light snow in northern areas of New Brunswick. Now that will be clearing through as we go from the morning into the afternoon, and much of the Maritimes Thursday afternoon will be a mix of sun and cloud with a blustery wind out of the west and a low chance of a couple of spotty showers around, maybe about a 30% chance for any given community. Temperatures for most of the region, except for northern New Brunswick, still fairly mild for tomorrow, but things get cooler and chilly for the entirety of the Maritimes moving into the weekend. Let's find out what's coming up on Your Morning Atlantic.
Thursday on Your Morning Atlantic, top tech gift ideas.
If you have a gadget lover on your holiday list, not sure what to get them, tech expert Amber Mack brings us some pretty cool finds, especially for the gamers.
Start your morning with us Thursday on CTV2.
And before we go, we want to let you know this newscast is on the move for one night. NFL Black Friday football on CTV means we're being punted over to CTV2 Friday at 5 and 6. Same newscasts, same time, just on our sister network. And finally for us tonight, an Alberta man has reunited a stuffed bunny he found at Vancouver's airport with its owner after quite an adventure. Joey Gibbs found the stuffy while waiting to take a flight to Seoul, Korea, and decided to take it traveling with him, detailing the bunny's adventures on social media along the way. WestJet contacted Gibbs to say the owner had been found. A mother and her young daughter had lost the bunny while returning from a visit home to China. Gibbs says he is glad the bunny is going home. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here at 11:30. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has updates and our poll. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 news